Good morning. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, a channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news, guys. We are here on a Monday morning. Yes, it is Bank Holiday Monday. No doubt it will be tipping it down with rain. No doubt it will be cold and wet. No doubt it will be a typical British Bank Holiday Monday, obviously. But look, it's Easter holidays. Hopefully you had a great Easter Sunday yesterday with your family and friends, and you're ready for a week. Another week in the saga that is Rangers. We're going to start off this morning by having Professor Declan O'Reilly from Parkhead University on very shortly to tell us all the truth as regards the Rangers takeover. Don from the University of Celtic Studies will tell us everything we need to know as Rangers fans about the truth around our takeover and what is actually genuinely happening with the finances at the club and with the prospective takeover from Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marathe and the 49ers Enterprises. Because let's face it, if anyone knows the truth, it'll be them. Of course, I'm joking about that. I just wanted to kind of be a bit sarcastic, just take the piss a little bit, because let's face it, I'm just fed up with them telling us what they think they know and what they don't actually know anything about the whole truth of the matter. They know nothing about it, let's face it. They have their little fevered Timmy brains that can't cope with the truth. They can't cope with the fact that, you know, we're going to have owners that actually care about making this club into a competitive club, that actually want to make this club a club that will challenge them and perhaps put them back in their box, back where they belong, back in that little box, and we can put that box somewhere away so we don't have to hear from them anymore. Who knows? But look, you know, there was a lot of rumours going around as regards the takeover. There was rumours going around that the takeover was on the verge of collapse. There was rumours going around that due to the intransigence of Sandy Easdale, yes, that Muppet is still involved with our club, still has shares in our club, that he was withholding his shares from the deal, that meant that that this deal could collapse, the deal could fall apart because of him. Thank God that has all kind of been put to bed now and has kind of been ruled out completely. Now, look, this is coming from reliable sources. You know, this is coming from sources within the 49ers Enterprises. This is coming from sources within Andrew Kavanagh's camp. This is being reported by a number of reputable media organisations, both north and south of the border, including Sky Sports. So, Celtic fans, you want to know where the stories are coming from? It's coming from the 49ers Enterprises. It's coming from Andrew Kavanagh. It's coming from Sky Sports. It's coming from The Sun. It's coming from The Times, The Guardian. It's coming from a number of very reliable sources, none of which, guys, you need to worry about. None of which you need to get your little Timmy brains all fevered over. And you know what? We don't care about your opinion because your opinion is utter bullshit as per usual. So what is happening? Now, we now found obviously that the shares that are owned by Sandy Easdale are no longer essential to this deal, and that Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers Enterprises, led by Parag Marathe, have secured 51% of the shares in the club, so now have enough to have majority ownership of Rangers, which is fantastic news. It is now just a case of the legal bits. The final bits of red tape, the bits of signing, dotting the I's, crossing the T's to complete this takeover. And this takeover will be done by the end of May. So yes, even before the end of the season, it means that, it means that Rangers will have new owners in place before the end of the season, that they can come in. They can start to put into place their own people. They can start to weed out the dead wood. They can start to take out those people who are not up to the job, whether that be players on the playing staff, coaching staff, executive departments, whoever. They can start to look at the jobs that are being done by the likes of Patrick Stewart, who I think, in my opinion, Patrick Stewart is an absolute joke as a CEO. He needs to go. Fraser Thornton, look at what he is doing as non-executive chairman and see what needs to be changed. And, you know, Andrew Kavanagh will bring in his people, obviously. Parag Marathe and the 49ers Enterprises will bring in their people. Now, what this means in terms of not just the recruitment side of the business, but in terms of getting a sporting director, and that obviously could be Greta Steinson. I don't want to particularly dwell on that this morning. If you want to catch the latest on the Greta Steinson thing, check out the video we put out yesterday. Steinson is a top man. Listen, if you go back and watch yesterday's video, you'll find out even more about him and what he would bring to Rangers. But in terms of what else they can do, there's a whole situation that, looking at kit deals, looking at sponsorship of the stadium, looking at sponsorship rights, looking at deals that can be done. in terms of actually bringing in extra revenue to the club. So there's that element of it that can already start to be put in place. The San Francisco 49ers as an organisation, are very highly regarded within the NFL as a top organisation in terms of accessing those extra revenue streams to bring in more money. The Jed York, Dave Bartolo family are very skilled at that, and they will be involved to some extent with the 49ers enterprises. Certainly not as the Timmies tell you that it's got nothing to do with Jed York and he's a good Catholic boy and so on and so forth. Just to address that, Jed York and Denise De Bartolo has never, ever, ever mentioned religion, brought religion into any element of their sports team. It's just those idiots across the city who are just an absolute bunch of absolute morons. In terms of, not just that, but in terms of the data and analytics side of things, the scouting side of things, the player development, the player acquisition over the summer, again, they will bring into place their analytics, their sabermetrics, looking at this whole situation of, addressing what players we need to bring in, who are the best players to do that, looking at data analysis, looking at scouting analysis. The NFL teams as a whole are very well developed in terms of scouting players, in developing players, into looking at analytics and data to do that. You look at their draft process. Obviously, the NFL draft upcoming on Thursday the 24th. You look at their free agent signings, their contracts they do. A lot of it is around their data, the work they do around data analysis of players, of draft analysis of players, of stat analysis of players, to look at these players to get the very best possible players for an organisation. Also looking at injury histories, data around that. All stuff that Rangers desperately need to bring into place, because the recruitment over the last couple of years has been absolutely diabolical, hasn't it? It really genuinely has. So again, that is something that will be in place before the end of the season. And I think, the worry and the concern was that the takeover wouldn't be done till sort of June, July time, by which time you're already eating into the off-season. You're losing time, you're losing scouting time, you're losing managerial appointment time. The later Rangers leave appointing a manager, appointing a sporting director, selling and buying players, the market for who you can have, the market of who you can bring in, the time to then, once you've got them in, to work with them and to bring them into the Rangers fold and get them to understand the club and to assess them and to get them to gel together, it decreases. And you can't have that now with the takeover being done by the end of May. That takes all that away. The 49ers enterprises and Andrew Kavanagh can already start to put into place a recruitment process. They can already start looking at bringing in a new manager at the end of the season. And look, we all know, and I think we all know now, that we need a new manager. Barry Ferguson is not the man to take this club forward. For a whole host of reasons, I love Barry to bits. I always will. He was the perfect man for the interim position. Him, Neil McCann, Billy Dodds, Alan McGregor, perfect for interim. Rangers guys come in, knock heads together, bring the team together to try and get them to do the best they can between now and the end of the season. Yes, the season is now over with the exit to Bilbao. Let's not dwell on that. Let's not talk about Dessa's been a fanny and falling over. Let's not talk about the penalty decisions. But look, at the end of the day, it is now time to look at bringing in the right manager, to not necessarily just limiting yourself to the Rangers man argument, looking at someone who can really come in and make a difference, someone who can really take this team forward, who has the experience to not only have an input on player acquisition. I think we are moving over towards a European model where Niels Koppen or whoever the new sporting director is will buy the players, not the manager. I think we need to start to get our head around this now, that he's not the manager that buys the players anymore. The manager is not a manager anymore. He's a head coach. He's there to coach the players he's given, to work with the players he's given. And Rangers will come up with a style of play that they want to play. That's the manager they will pick. They will then look for players to fit into that style of play. That is how modern clubs work. That's how Liverpool do it. That's how Arsenal do it. That's how Chelsea do it. That's how Manchester United, I think, will do it over the summer, looking for Amarim players. That is the way it goes down south and, across the continent with Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich and so on and so forth. So, the days of like Walter Smith and Graham Souness buying the players and negotiating the deals, they are dead and gone. That is now the job of the sporting director to do, and obviously that is another key appointment that the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh will need to put into place. But like I keep saying, the big thing for me on this one is now this deal will be done by the end of May. It is really a situation where we can then start to get the off-season right. We can get that manager appointed. And look, I have no doubts in my mind that Greta Steinson, that Andrew Kavanagh, that Parag Marath, and whoever else is involved will have already started drawing up a shortlist, will have already started talking to people about the managerial vacancy, will start to talk to people about the sporting director vacancy. And I would not be surprised if within a couple of weeks of the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh coming in, that the new manager and the new sporting director are not announced fairly swiftly. I think the days of fannying around, waiting months on end for things to be done and decisions to be taken, which represented the inefficiencies of the park-run old regime at this club, they are dead and gone. They are done and dusted, thank God. And thank God that that disease that is the Park family will be ripped out of our club once and for all. But it's exciting times. It's positive times for the club. You know, moving forward now, we have owners that will actually be ambitious to win, owners that will be actually ambitious to generate income, that will be wanting to move this team forward. And look, please don't get this false sense that they will come in and spend 50, 60, 70, 80 million and suddenly just splash the cash and, you know, everything will be fine. That's not the way they work, and that's not the way they will work. You know, we are obviously, you know, restrained by FFP, PSR, whatever you want to call it. So there's not a situation where anyone can spend that, because the revenue that we generate is not enough to allow us to spend 50, 60, 70, 80 million. You know, 25, 30 million pounds, I think, is a much more realistic amount of what they will spend this window. They'll then build on in January and then again next summer to take this club forward. But rest, you know, do not have any concerns over this. This will not be a situation where they will say this is a 3 to 5 year job before they challenge. They will understand, you know, as we all understand, that this is not a situation that Rangers will accept. You know, Rangers as a club cannot be a team that has a 3 to 5 year plan to win. It is a team that needs to win now. It's a team that needs to be successful now. And I think if you look at the ethos of the San Francisco 49ers, for example, they are a club, that a team, a franchise that wants to win and win now. They are always a team that puts, you know, puts their team out there with a chance of winning and competing. You know, they had a disastrous season last season, and when you hear their general manager talk about the fact that it was embarrassing and it will never happen again and they will be competing this season, that is what you are getting. That is how you are getting, you know, an organisation that wants to win and will bring that to Glasgow. They understand it. They get it. Trust me, what it takes to be a successful franchise, a successful team, obviously in English and Scottish terms. Guys, let me know what you think of this story. I mean, like I said, thank God that you know, we don't have to listen to Professor Declan O'Reilly from the University of Celtic Studies and his rubbish and pish that he will come out with. Obviously, we listen obviously to people who are in the know, people who talk to the people who are behind this takeover, not the fake over as Celtic fans keep calling it. You know, this is something that is going to move this club forward, and it is very positive indeed. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation this morning, guys. Please obviously drop your comments. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and remember always, we are the people.